For many decades, Americans have boasted about how America is such an exceptional country and how America is number one and the greatest country in the world, and that America has the biggest economy, the most powerful economy on earth. And we have heard Americans talk about how they are number one and how much they believe in American exceptionalism and how united Americans are in the face of terror. But then when a giant pandemic hits the country, you have over 100,000 people dead. And the country is so polarized. You would think that the country would be united, but it's not. You have one half of the country saying, no, we need more mitigation against the virus, which is actually the correct route. But then you have the other half of the country that's saying, no, let life just go as normal. Who cares if people die from the virus? And you look at other countries that are more economically depressed, that have really poor economies, and they have less deaths than the United States does. You would think that those poor third world people, you would think they would be dropping like flies from this coronavirus stuff, but America is actually the one most devastated by this virus. Now let's compare some American states with third world countries, or countries that are economically diminished and poor. Let's just go with that. So the West Bank. For decades, we have been deeming the West Bank as just a region filled with terrorists and barbarians. The population of the West Bank is over 5 million people. The population of the state of Alabama is 4.9 million, so around the same as the West Bank. You would think that the West Bankians would be just dropping like flies, just dying by the thousands due to coronavirus. Well, you would be disappointed because just 3 people so far in the West Bank have died because of coronavirus. And these are people who are economically stressed. They are blockaded by the Israeli government. They don't even have full autonomy over their region. And they actually have managed to endure through coronavirus. They have managed to prevent so many deaths. They have managed to act as a community and to protect themselves from the virus that just 3 people died. Because the Palestinians are a lot more united. You will hear stories about Palestinian men sleeping in their cars because they don't want to go home. They don't want to go into their homes after work in fear that they would infect their families with coronavirus. And Americans, they want to eat cheeseburgers. Alabama has around the same population as the West Bank. So far, 551 Alabamians have died because of coronavirus. Same population as the West Bank, yet only 3 Palestinians have died due to coronavirus. It tells you the difference between the cultures. One culture wants to eat Wendy's every single day, and the other culture has a sense of community, a sense of strong collectivism and solidarity. And with that, they were able to prevent so many people within their community from dying. Americans, strap up your boots. Hard individualism. Now let's look at another country. Let's look at Greece. Greece has 10 million people, the same population as North Carolina, roughly speaking. Greece so far has only had 175 deaths due to coronavirus. Very poor country, very high unemployment. You would think the Greeks would be like, hey, our unemployment is high, our economy is poor, we have to get to work. You would think the Greeks would be like flooding the streets. not caring about how many people get coronavirus. You would think that, but only 175 deaths. Now let's compare that to North Carolina. Over 730 deaths in North Carolina. Same population. And North Carolina and Alabama, these are states of a first world country. We are number one, right? Greece, the West Bank, these are poor countries with poor economies. But what's the difference between us and them? They actually have more of a sense of community. And so, yeah, Americans are still going to be boasting about being number one, but they can add one characteristic to their egoism. Yeah, you guys are number one. You guys are number one even at dying of coronavirus. That's a very sad thing for me to say. Anyway, you guys just heard some theology. God bless.